Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to the special edition of Armchair Rocket Science. I'm Joe Dog. We are actually there's no launch today, it's just a live update with a couple of YouTube streamers. From the launch pad, we've got Zachary Albert.
You nailed it.
Albert. Zachary Albert, who is from Canada, no less, giving us great updates on Starship and SpaceX and some of the other things. But we have another special guest who is real close to the action. We've got Paul Mamakos. And for the true SpaceX fans, you just went, oh! Because that's about what me and Zach did when we saw Paul bring his camera up. He's like, he is at ground zero of the launch site.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for being here.
Cool, Joe. Thanks for setting us up and being open to check out what's happening here. So, great.
All right. We already got a couple comments coming in. The first one is Brian K. Morris, who is the founder of the Rising Tide Publications and the Rising Tide Broadcast Network that we are a part of, that the Armchair Rocket Science is a part of. And Dan Hollifield says, hey, Joe. Dan is part of my Thursday night show where we just sit around and talk about nothing for 2 hours and never shut up. And Carl Whitzman's giving us a hey there. Carl's a friend of mine from up in Danville, Illinois.
Yeah.
But Paul, we got a few pictures we're going to share. Go ahead and get some of these in. That you have taken of the launch site, which is this here is the RCS booster. Let's try to figure out how to get you to where you can get you on screen. Here, let me do this. We'll throw Zach off to let's throw me off to the side because they don't need to see my ugly mug. I'll peek around if I want to say anything. Paul, the other night you were there at the launch site and they did, was it an RCS test or just a release?
I'm not educated enough to know. I've heard like ambient release of maybe the nitrogen in the systems, but I don't know. I'm not that cued into the technical stuff. You know?
Okay, yeah, but needless to say, they give you about a minute warning that there's going to be a loud.
Yeah. And maybe 5 or 10 seconds. Yeah.
And you just barely have enough time to grab your ears. I had headphones at the time, and they went that way.
Sorry.
Yeah, they went off that way. It was loud.
Yeah.
But and then let me find it. There is one.
Was that after the static fire?
3, 2, they're going to do something. Right now, it's happening. The top. Maybe put it on the big screen.
Oh.
Right up there. Right at the very top.
So we're having
right up there.
Oh, cool. So we actually had a pressure vent.
Yeah.
While we were live on the air.
How much did you pay for that, Joe?
No, Paul, how much did you pay for that? Was that all our super chats from last night?
Just good timing, everybody. Just good timing.
Oh, that was incredible. Thank you. Oh, and Jack Marshall is tuned in watching.
They move out of the way to see the sunset here. It's happening.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh wow! Of course, Paul, I've never been down there, but they say that area is so flat you could watch your dog run away for 3 days.
Maybe. Yeah.
It is just far as you can see. It's just flat.
Yeah, the beach here is 5 miles to the left or 2 miles to the right, and you hit Mexico if you go 2 miles to the right, south.
Wow.
The beach is like half a mile down the road.
Oh, so you're right on the ocean.
Yeah.
And somebody asked you the other night, does it smell like, it doesn't give an ocean smell, does it?
No.
Like Florida or?
Yeah, maybe if you're by the beach sometimes, but usually no. Maybe
Okay.
after a big storm, because then all the seaweed from the bottom gets stirred up.
Yeah. All right, let me grab another one of these pictures that I've seen. The black pipe mystery structure that rolled in.
Right.
I mean, you broke that before anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul is the scoop meister down there. Of course, this has a lot of the credits and on everything on it, but this is from RGV Aerial of the launch site. They say it looks like it may be catch arms for the booster.
Okay.
I'm thinking that may be more a strong back.
I'm not sure, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe Zach, what do you think?
I'm thinking just based looking at like some of the triangular stuff that is part of the crane, because I feel like that's going to be one of the first things they need to even know how to stack, because they haven't ever been able to stack one yet.
Yeah, there's not a crane. Well, the only
on the tower itself, there's supposedly some tracks that if there are catch arms, there are some grooves for some tracks along the tower. So maybe that's part of that. I don't know, but
okay. So
I try and learn as much as I can. So I like to be technical, but I don't spend all my time trying to be, and it's better for me not to say what it is, because I'll get a lot of people telling me different things.
Yeah.
Twitter will be very loud very quickly.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we're even talking about catching the thing that's behind you, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's massive. Not landing, catching.
Yeah. And bear hugging it out, pretty much bear hugging it out of the sky.
Yeah.
Oh.
They better be on target with that. I mean, the Falcons are pretty accurate with how it lands. Like, they have to get it on the drone ship. But, I mean, they don't hit the same spot every time.
Right.
No.
So they're going to need to work on that.
Yeah. And, Paul, if you would step to your left about one step. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you liked it or not. So I was leaving.
Yeah, we like it, but all it's doing is just pretty much, it's beginning to blind your camera.
Okay.
But yeah, that is cool. Of course, my favorite thing to watch in Boca Chica on one of the other stream channels is these jewels right here.
Right.
The dishes.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, try to be around the dishes during a Starlink launch or any of the launches from California or Florida on the Falcon launches, because you will watch those things move.
Oh, okay, cool.
And track.
I'll get some video then. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Which is amazing to watch. And I don't know if have you ever seen them move, actually move before?
No.
They move. It's like Zach says, it is amazing how.
When they did the booster test, it was about 15 seconds from being straight vertical to straight to the booster.
Oh, okay, wow.
So
that was tip down and turn.
Yeah. And that was So you I guess you were watching the other streams.
No, I haven't been watching anything. Go ahead.
Yeah. Zach was saying, always. Yeah, I'm always watching them. Right now we're talking about Paul and Ocean Cam on YouTube. So everybody that's watching, anybody watching on replays, Ocean Cam on YouTube. But I got something else that's going to for a lot of my viewers, I know a lot of my viewers are avid book readers and authors and everything. Uh, Paul is an author. This is his first book, Prince Paul Mamakos, The Golden One, An Out-of-Body Experience. Paul, if you want to sort of explain what that is real quick.
Yeah, when I was a young kid, I was into space and science and this, astronaut kind of stuff. And when I went through high school, I was looking at asteroids and NASA pamphlets in the library at school. And when I got into my teens and actually 19 years old, I had a sleep paralysis experience. And that led me into meditation. I found out about that within a couple of days. So I started meditating just naturally. And I learned to go out of body and stuff. And I became like a world expert, one of the most accomplished people in the world on going, meditating and leaving the body. So I did that a lot for like 4 to 5 years. And then I kind of expanded out to the universe. Like they talk about oneness or unity or connectivity with everything. So there's a lot of stuff about that. And after 20 years, I wrote that first book there in 2017.
Yeah.
Just to help other people who were going through what I was going through when I was 19.
Oh, okay. And I've got it scrolling across the bottom that it's available on Amazon. It's called The Golden One, An Out-of-Body Book. And also there's a companion book called Out-of-Body Journal from June 2019. And what was that?
It was some of my some notes from my early journal in that first to second year of going out of body. I took notes and I actually threw it away when I was around 22, 23 years old. And my mom actually took it out of the trash and kept it for many years. And she gave it to me like in 2018 or something. So I decided to put it into a book and, put it out there for people. That's some of the ideas and thoughts I was going through in my first to second year of going out of body. So it was kind of interesting,
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's, I wanted to, because like I said, we're part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, which is part of the Rising Tide Publications. So, and, the Rising Tide raises all ships, and we're going to try to get you a couple book sales in here while we're doing it. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. At Amazon, on a Kindle and a hard copy, right?
Yeah, it's been out since 2017, and I've actually looked, and it's available at Walmart.
It's available at Walmart.
That's right.
I know where I'm headed.
So, I mean, you have to order it online through Walmart, but there's a lot of places where people have picked it up over the years.
And Donna Carleen says that's very cool. Donna is practices the Norse beliefs.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
that will fall into. She'd be interested in that. All right, but let's get back to the some of the stuff that you have scooped.
Right.
And I can't find it. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I just hit my microphone.
I could do a little filler if you want.
Yeah. It's a picture of the mystery structure over by 1516. And it looks like they added hydraulic rams to it today.
Okay.
Did you?
We don't see a picture on the screen, but go ahead.
Okay, I can't. I didn't upload the picture.
Okay, so you're saying the booster, the pad B over here? Is that what?
No, over by 15 and 16.
Okay. Yeah.
Where the big, it's sort of a grayish white structure.
Okay. Fair enough.
From the way I'm looking at it, that looks like the launch clamps.
Okay. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There's two structures. There's a black ring.
Yeah.
And then there's the booster 2.1.
Yeah.
And then besides that is a large structure where they started putting like a railing along the top.
Yeah. That's the one I'm talking about.
Some people think some of these things will fit into each other.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm grabbing it right now. I'm uploading it real quick. The big round, the little flat round thing. This thing here.
Yeah, that was recently welded together. It was two pieces, And then
Okay.
over like the course of 2 days, they welded it. So it's one piece now. And some people think that may go inside of something else or something. But it's also, if you look at it's hollow in the center, in the inside. So maybe the booster, some people think that booster 2.1, BN 2.1 behind it might go inside of this and maybe like a crusher or something, some kind of, yeah, I think you got what you were talking about there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was sort of crazy.
Yeah.
No, I had it. I saved it. I downloaded it, but I can't find it in my files real quick. But yeah, actually, what that looks like is the base for a crane pivot. The plate for a crane to, that would be the stationary part.
I think maybe someone said something like that. Yeah. Maybe on the tower or something. I don't.
Yeah, up on top of the tower.
It could have been you. I don't know who told me that. Yeah,
okay.
I heard that. Something like that.
And of course, we got surprised today that let's see if now I know I got that picture. That they hooked up the crane to one of the stainless GSE tanks.
Right.
And of course, then the storm blew in, so they couldn't proceed. Does it look like they're going to remove it, or what are they doing?
Right. Initially, I did that video and I covered the whole thing. It could have been maybe two things. Maybe they had the radar and they knew the storm was coming, and the storm came like a half hour to an hour after I finished my feed because they stopped work on it. And I thought, well, maybe lunch is coming. Who knows? But some people think that maybe connecting it to the GSC tank was to stabilize the crane throughout the storm, So maybe it was just for that. Who knows? We'll see tomorrow and throughout the week,
Yeah. Of course, again, I'm gonna say this again. The people are talking about taking those. Are they yellow or white that they've painted? The big tanks that they're rolling in from the Sanchez site.
I think they're white. I think
they're white. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to actually lift those up and put them over the stainless GSE tanks as insulators, because usually they don't insulate those tanks.
Okay.
I think those are going to actually be tanks for use.
Okay.
One is hooked up with water pipes. So that's my thinking on that one. But then I'm going to pull this one up here. This is the top of the crane section, or the tower section 9 that you got a video of.
Yes, and there's a lot of debate about, there's some debate about what should we call it and everything, because the Section 8 that they put up is like 2/3 the normal size.
Yeah.
So some people are saying, well, maybe this is the rest of Section 8 to make it a full size. But what we do know is that there is going to be a cap on top of 8, and this could be it. This could be the final pieces for that cap. And whether we call it Section 9 or 8B, we don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like the tower cap.
It could be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
there was, I think there were several pieces on that transporter there.
Yeah.
So
I think I counted 3 of them.
Okay.
And which would make sense, because over on the fourth side, which is where the crane's going to be.
Right, that would make sense. Yeah.
And then when I first saw it, I thought, ooh, they got a lot of little lightning rods hanging off of it. Little extra things for lightning rods. But no, those are anchor points for more girders to stabilize the top of that.
Cool.
Like I said, I've got 30 years of construction experience. Okay. I know what they're going to do, and when they're going to throw asphalt down. They're not going to leave that gravel road back there.
Right.
But the first thing they got to do is get it dry.
Yeah.
And every time it's just about ready to throw asphalt down, the monsoon comes in. All right, are the mosquitoes getting rough on you?
I'm good.
Okay.
mild. This is mild, so we're good.
So you've actually seen some of the other YouTubers out there?
Yes, here on site, yes.
Yeah. Of course, that one gave you some great sound advice. That was
Right.
yeah. You let me find another one of your little quick. I'm going to show one of your quick videos. See, what Paul does is post little videos of. I got to get through the commercial.
Good.
And I let the commercial run all the way through. All right, this is one that you posted of one of the crane sections going up. Or of the tower. And Paul posts little videos like this, pretty much every day to give you an idea. And Paul is standing right pretty much across the street from that, right?
Yep.
And it just keeps going and going and going. But, which is just amazing. So, if anybody
What's
else,
crazy is we're gonna get a second one if they keep going.
yeah,
Right next to it, it's just gonna be a wall of towers and starships.
yeah, which is amazing, and we, as fast as we are seeing this thing go together, just realize they're doing it to learn how to duplicate the process.
Yeah,
which means they could build launch sites around the world. I mean, I would do. Yeah, that's what you were going to say. 39A.
39A is going to have to be the next one. My question is, are they going to update the current tower and make it bigger, or are they going to put a secondary tower further aside with almost like two sites? Because 39A is pretty sculpted if you look at it with like the fire tubes and everything. I have no idea where they're going to put it, but they're going to have to put it there because that's the only one they've leased, unless they somehow lease another one on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. But having two pads, maybe?
Yeah. 39A, it will be 39A2, I believe is what I've heard it. That's, the SpaceX rumor mill runs rampant.
Okay.
39A2 will be a launch site. And, of course, there is that suddenly mystery super building that they have built down in Roberts Road. Are you aware of that one, Zach?
Just down from the VAB, they've got the plans for that big facility because they've got one built, and now there's another one
under
they've
construction.
also got plans for closer to 39A. So they've got facilities to do it, or they'll have grounds to do it.
Yeah. So maybe Boca Chica will be the launch section. Will be the production plant. They roll them down to the plant, shoot them over to the Cape, and fly it from there. Will Ferguson says it's pretty spectacular to see a factory really pumping out Starships. Great strategy to fill out the production techniques first.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I saw a meme that I posted probably 8-10 years ago. It says, why is it taking so long to build rockets? It's because they're building rockets like this, and it showed the McLaren F1, whatever, $8 million supercar,
Right.
instead of building it like this and then showed a picture of a Ford truck. You know, of course, I've heard another person say that the space industry right now is trying to build disposable airliners. You fly it from point A to point B and throw it away. Then you fly a new one back home and throw it away. That's what SpaceX is doing, is bringing in the reusability. But Paul, this is awesome. That is such a great view.
Yeah. Nice.
Let me pull you back. Let's pull back to where we can see that beautiful
coming out.
see that beautiful starship right there.
All right, there you go.
So how busy during the day do you find it's getting along the roadside? Because there's now a number of people. I know there's a few other YouTubers coming down soon, permanently and not permanently. But is it pretty busy?
What do you mean busy? Workers or
Like
people?
on your side, where the not SpaceX people cluster?
No, it's not that busy on this side. Once they started paving this area behind you here, behind the berms and everything, so now a lot of people who work here, they'll park over by the pad B and stuff like that. So there's a lot of they paved a lot of this area back here by the GSU tanks and everything. So they park back there. This area where I am now used to be packed full of cars, and now it's mostly vacant during the day. And there's
the original landing site, that would be behind you then, is where they were doing the landing?
It's right here to the left of this. It's right behind that black box there.
Okay.
I can pan a little bit over there.
Okay. So they're expanding their paved areas and stuff, which makes sense.
Yeah, they mostly finished doing that too. So it's mostly done. It's all been paved. And the last ship that landed was almost off the edge. So, it was good for them to do that since that landing.
Yeah.
Like it was right over there, right where it landed, right over there where it slopes a little bit.
Right,
and it could have just fallen over if it was a few feet to the right.
Yeah, they were lucky on that one.
Yeah, I've seen aerial photos that they've marked off parking spots around pad B.
Okay.
Have you seen those, Zach?
Okay.
Seen some aerial shots of it. Looked like they were trying to do something. I think they're really wanting to get that big parking lot put in, but I'm not sure if it's been completely approved yet. Because that was part of their big expansion plans with like the second tower and the second big tank farm and stuff. Because they got big plans for Starbase.
Yeah. I'm still, you almost said Boca Chica. I say it too.
Boca Chica, Starbase, Brownsville, it's all the same.
Yeah. So, Paul, were you there for any of the flights?
Yes, for 11 and 15. The mosquitoes are coming out though more so I can put on my hood or
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. If you want to drop out, me and Zach will talk for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. I mean, rubbing down the goosebumps. It's wild to actually be talking to somebody standing right there, and I don't know if you can feel the excitement in the air that we feel, but wow. All right. Thank you, Paul. And Donna Carleen says, thanks, Paul.
Donna, good evening, or whatever time it is for you. Yeah. Thanks for saying hello.
All right.
Donna, Zach, and Joe, thanks for everything.
Yeah. All right. Thank you,
Paul. See you later, Paul. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, you guys.
All right. Care. And tap the leave studio. All right, Zach. Wow.
Quite a view.
That was awesome. But yeah, this is our first little update show, Zach. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would like to, start doing these regularly, but I forgot you do a live show on Wednesdays starting at 9:00, right?
Starting normally in some between like 30 to 60 minutes from now ish, but we're still feeling it out. What's a good day? We've got about half of our communities over in Europe. So it's trying to find a day that works for everybody here. I'm also in mountain time. So what's like a decent time for me is bedtime for some people on the East Coast. So
yeah.
it's always fun balancing time zones, but
yeah. Yes, I understand.
and you bring Russia into a factor, and you're like, you just don't sleep. But it's an exciting time to watch and stuff. So we're playing around with dates and seeing what works best. Obviously, being on the ground will change that, and hopefully being down there more. So feeling out what we're gonna do.
Well, once you get down there, you got to work on SpaceX time.
Yeah, exactly. There's no sleep down there. A friend of mine, I'm heading down to Florida for a week for Inspiration 4 first, and then I'll be flying over to Starbase for a week. But at the rate they're going, I might be stuck there a little longer because they'll be too close to when they're actually going to launch that thing. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
What is your guess on early launch time? The NET on our
no earlier than at this point, at least September 1st. August is definitely out of it at this point, mainly because of now, keep in mind, they launched without FAA approval for SN8. I don't think they're going to do that again with something this big that's literally going to go around the globe. No. But it's Elon. We never know. No, they have to finish the report. And the biggest issue, but probably good thing for us trying to guess a date, is they have to have a 30-day public feedback period once they finish it. So they have to present it to the public, give 30 days, then they close it, and then do their final presentation. Then they can issue a launch license. So we're I make the joke we're T-minus like 35 or 40 days in holding until we see that report come out, which is why August is completely off the map. Doesn't mean we couldn't see testing on the pad. Yeah. Maybe we see a static fire on there. I have a feeling we might see them do multiple lifts just even to practice stacking a Starship.
That makes sense.
And then there's a lot of people hoping that we'd see SN16 do some sort of
another flight. Yeah.
A pressure test, but they really haven't tested them to their limits.
Yeah.
And they kind of need to do that, which is why I think they picked the location they did. I'm shocked we haven't seen more just shooting them off in the coast and kind of seeing where they break, because I know some people in our community were talking about the point-to-point idea. Do you need to have the booster for all of them? In all the renderings we've seen from them, they're with the booster. But if you wanted, an LA to San Francisco, could you not get enough thrust from 3 or maybe 6 Raptors on the bottom of a normal Starship without a booster? Because I think there's a lot they could do with that kind of first stage or second stage. So,
well, somebody, I think it was Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut. If you noticed, I'm not really naming names too much.
We a big community. You name one and you start naming them all.
Yeah, and some of them, for some reason, don't like you mentioning their name. Yeah, so
they're busy people, very busy. I know I've connected with a few of them, and even getting a couple minutes. I mean, Ocean Cam. How much stuff he's doing. It's hard to get people's time, and I'm sure they get a lot of approaches. So sometimes it's easier just to be like, I'm busy. Don't talk to me. Don't talk about me. So,
but Tim Dodd said, Starship, the set. Everybody's saying this rocket. All we're seeing is the second stage. It's the second stage.
Yeah, we're just seeing the first stage now.
Yeah,
we're just starting.
He said Starship could go orbital with what they've got. It could do a single stage to orbit, but it would have to be all fuel, no payload. And
it's basically skin and bones for it to be able to get to orbit currently. I feel like they probably have an option that we might see down the road, like we've seen with Falcon Heavy now, is Falcon Heavy extended. Because what's saying they couldn't, add 2 or 3 more rings of fuel and have an option to go higher. Also, if depending what they're doing, we were we were throwing out crazy ideas, I think, on the booster stream of, people saying, oh, everybody wants to see that bigger version of Starship. I'm like, let's get Starship first.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a bigger version of Starship, why would we build a bigger version that has to be launched from Earth? Why wouldn't we build just the second stage bigger in orbit and then use like normal Starships almost as like tugs or something?
Yes.
Like it opens a whole new ball game of construction once we have an operational program with the regular Starship.
And one thing that I've seen them talk about with Starship, with the cargo clamshell, here's some things that have come up. I mean, recently, this week, someone has proposed Starship when they retire Hubble, bring Hubble home.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that would not be an attraction at the Smithsonian in Washington?
If it can, I want it home one day when it's done and it's done its time and it can be brought home safely. I think the first thing with Starship, like theoretically it works. The biggest issue is how do they stabilize it for reentry? Because it wasn't designed, like it was designed to come home. There was full plans for it to come home with a shuttle.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I think it would have actually already been home by now based on the original plans.
Yeah.
But they've got 10 or 15 years to kind of get ready to bring it home. If it came home, nothing against the Smithsonian, it needs to be put with Atlantis at Kennedy. They've got a full-size Hubble there.
Yeah.
Take down the fake one, send that somewhere else. Put the real one there. You could even charge differently if you really wanted to at the beginning. Because it deployed it. It should be with it.
Oh, Atlantis was the deploy. I thought it was Discovery, but
I'm pretty sure it was Atlantis. I think Discovery did most of the repair
work. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that I found out last week. Apollo 11 Eagle is possibly still in orbit around the moon.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be neat to see come home.
That would be one I'd love to see him bring home. And since Starship will be part of the lunar gateway construction, hell, while you're there, can you bring this home?
Yeah, I mean, it's an option. I think I've been working on a video and trying to make sure it's accurate that goes into just absolutely everything in the Artemis Accords, which is surprisingly not a big document, but is government language and very detailed in very little writing, kind of just covering everything. And one of the big things in it that I think we're going to have to see be addressed sooner than later is because NASA has signed it. They've led the Artemis program with the Artemis Accords, is you're not allowed to touch anything historical, period. Yeah. Anywhere between Earth and basically the asteroid belt. So, and it mentions like subsurface, it mentions surface, it mentions air. So, I mean, the orbital one, probably it's NASA property. Yeah. So there probably wouldn't be an issue there. But I think we're going to get to a point where either they're going to have to be like, SpaceX, are you going to agree to this as a private company or not? Because anything NASA hires SpaceX to do has to follow all of the accords.
Yeah.
But anything SpaceX technically does on its own right now doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see, because I joke that the Accords are really our first version of the Federation. Yeah. Because if you boil it down, it really is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember Jeff, the guy that launched yesterday.
Jeff who?
Yeah, Jeff who? He found the engine section of the Apollo 11 Saturn V. And recovered it from the bottom of the ocean.
Well, just something you do on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Brought it up, displayed it all, and NASA was there going, that belongs to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's not a lot of clear definition or rules on that, because, I mean, if it's in the ocean, they probably would be Jeff's, because it would have been recovered. But you're also talking about something that was, very much a government program. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to start seeing it more now with how much private stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Because there really aren't those, there's no rules, there's no guidelines. Like if SpaceX wants to land on the moon, theoretically, they just do it. They don't have to tell anybody. They don't,
No.
they need a launch license and they need to, tell people not to get in their way when they're going. But other than that, there's no governing body over the moon. And that's where the Artemis Accords won't allow that to happen either. It bans nations from taking basically ownership.
Claiming any.
Yeah, of the moon or Mars, comets. It's the crazy detail, the amount of stuff they've planned into Artemis, because they're not only planning. Now, the NASA administrator, I think it was today, even said they're planning the first human Mars missions for NASA in the late 2030s. Sounded like 2035 or so was when they were going to start. Obviously, SpaceX is going to be there for like a decade before, but how's that all going to play out? Because we're going to start, I think, seeing that battle of private versus public or government.
I want to go on out on a limb. I'm going to get very political here, which and trust me, my viewers right now are going,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Joe. But we know you're going to be right when you say it. I wonder if some of this FAA stuff is not just what we call kneecapping SpaceX to give some other competitors a chance to catch up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, SpaceX is like a decade ahead of everybody, so it's business. I've done a little bit of working kind of beside the government in trade, and I would not put it past any government entity for there to be the thought of that. Something like the FAA, I would hope, is above that, just based on how much rules they have and like what they're in charge of. But I'm not too sure. I mean, even now looking at the, somewhat related with the FAA, like changing things and slowing stuff down, the astronaut wings. Everyone's talking about, did the Blue Origin and did the Virgin Galactic people technically earn the government FAA astronaut wings? And they released new guidance today on it. And it basically invalidates New Shepard if you read it word for word, because they were passengers. They did not have an active role in the ship itself, in public safety is the word they use in it, or human safety. They just took a ride. So, do they get grandfathered in because that got dropped about 6 hours after the launch? Maybe, but I think a lot of stuff with the FAA is going to be changing. And I think that's where it could slow down SpaceX, or it could take a long time for them to change and then help SpaceX go faster. Because now they're building a facility in Brownsville, the FAA. So they obviously want to have people there.
Yeah, just hold on a minute. We've not finished the paperwork from 2000 yet.
Yeah. They just want to stop paying someone to have to fly in from Orlando or DC.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing. And, I mean, they want to see what SpaceX is doing. They just built how tall would this tower be? 30 stories, roughly? 25 to 30 stories, and it's not approved. So the FAA wants to be watching.
I'm thinking 35.
It doesn't look like Starship, when stacked, will be shorter. It looks like Starship will be taller at current stacked.
That's what I'm thinking. But, then again, it's massive.
It's a big tower.
It's huge. I mean, the columns are what looks like almost 10 feet thick.
Yeah. It's not going anywhere with a hurricane.
No, it's...
That's the other thing. They have to overbuild it because of the hurricane risk.
And then the ground underneath it,
which is sand.
Yeah.
I haven't been down to South Padre yet, but I used to, for a couple months, lived up on Mustang Island, which is about a couple hours north. But exact same thing, Barrier Island. We were literally where Boca or Starbase is
Yeah.
is the equal distance to where our RV park was. You could walk over the dune and you were there. So but it was just sand. There,
Yeah.
there was, other than the paved stuff that you put in, and it erodes quickly.
Yeah.
So
No, my opinion is a lot of this stuff will begin to start, the FAA rules or start getting approved. My crazy think is it will happen after SLS rolls to the pad.
it shouldn't be long.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, it would give them enough time to, when they launch SLS will be the largest thing launched since Saturn.
I could see that, actually. Wanting to claim that title, even if it's for a day.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I could see that.
And now
That's going to be a big one.
Yeah. But that sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I could see NASA wanting to, if they're going to play that game of, wanting to play titles and everything, absolutely. I could see wanting to do that. I mean, there's going to be so many variations of SLS if they actually do all of them, too, that this is just the first one, but we'll see what happens.
I hate to say this, Zach.
It's dead upon arrival.
If there is a third launch of SLS, I'll be surprised.
Oh, there will be. Definitely. Of SLS? Absolutely. I think we'll see SLS for probably at least until we're almost out of the single digits of Artemis. I think it's going to take them that long to human approve Starship for launch. They'll human approve it for landing because that's apparently way easier. Yeah. But the actual launch part, I think they're going to drag their feet on that to have just under 100, if not more.
Yeah.
Successful Starship, variations even included, launches before they consider, because I mean they did that with Cargo Dragon. We saw Cargo Dragon for years, and they still were quite stingent on the human rating.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean SpaceX won't be launching humans on Starship before it, because they talked to the FAA, I want to say it was 2 years ago, year and a half ago. It's all a blur. They move so fast. That if SpaceX wants to launch its own people, they can create their own astronaut program and have SpaceX-sanctioned astronauts, not NASA astronauts. And they've now started to hire staff to write that program for Starship. So they're working on that, because if they go through their training and SpaceX says that's enough, it's a fully automated system, and the FAA, ends up giving that launch license, they're no longer waiting on NASA to get astronauts in and through. Because I even asked when it was acting director, I'm blanking on his name, just before the new director came on for NASA, I was on the HLS press conference when they were announcing that HLS won. And I asked the acting director, I was like, we have 17 Artemis astronauts, 14? That's all they've selected. And selection takes years and training takes years. So are we not going to need to open this soon and be talking about bringing multiple? And that's where they're talking about HLS only taking 4 people down to the surface of the moon. It can take 100 to the moon based on Starship's thing. Now, maybe NASA doesn't need 100 people and they want more room for science and payloads and whatever. But, 14 people with 4, that's, in those teen numbers, that's not a lot of people that you have to rotate out. And they're talking only weeks, up to a week on the ground, which is already a big difference from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, they were talking about 12 to 14 hours maximum on the ground with HLS. That's what NASA wanted. They didn't even think multi-day was an option. And then SpaceX is like, hi, we're going to land a 13-story building. You've got some space. You want to stay down for a few days?
Look, do you want luxury accommodations or that little...
Yeah. Would you like a hot tub? We can include it. But you have no gravity. We didn't say it would be normal. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of differences and a lot of new ideas start up on what it can look like. Lunar Starship's already changed a number of times, and I think the programs will change just as rapidly
Oh.
once they've proven it.
Yeah, once they prove it, this is the thing. Everything, once SpaceX gets the lander perfected, ready to go, I bet you everything will have to change to keep up with the.
Almost every other space company for deep missions gets exhausted because of the size of Starship. Now that doesn't, and like the thing is, SpaceX still has Falcons that are super powerful. If you don't need a Starship, but you know, there's still some other
Okay,
bigger
Carl,
ones.
thank you. We'll see you later. Carl's jumping out on us. But,
see you later, Carl. I get the internet. Mine does it all the time.
Yeah. Of course, you saw what my internet speed is, so I'm just going to leave that alone.
Yeah. No, I was streaming wasn't the Russia launch, the New Shepard launch.
Yeah.
My internet been fine for weeks, and it decided, 5 minutes to launch that it was going to act up. Ended up with a 15-minute buffer after 35 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then you go and watch back the video now, looks fine. I was writing comments, and people are like, what do you mean liftoff? It says T-minus 8 minutes. I'm like, I don't know. Can't help you. Go watch the official feed. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, things are going to change fast once it's proven. And I think we've seen that even just with civilian flight. I mean, if you told us 3 years ago we were going to have 4 different civilian missions in 3 different capsules, suborbital and orbital, I'll group them together, in 3 years, I don't think anybody would have thought you were, people think you're crazy. But
I mean, now here's something that I see, and we got to start watching the time because I want to because you're going to need to jump out of here and get your show set up.
I'm good. I said it might start late, so it's not even scheduled tonight.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty casual. It's our Wednesday night hangout. We fly our community's Kerbal crafts and basically do what we're doing. So
all right. Where I actually see a time where they go, no, we're not going to approve Starship for human launch or landing.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll allow it for human transport.
Yep.
So you shoot a Dragon from Canaveral, a Starship from I still calling it Boca Chica, from Texas.
Legally, it's still Boca.
Yeah, from Texas. You launch a Dragon from Florida, a Starship from Texas. They meet up on orbit, transfer over. The Dragon splashes back down, and the way they could roll out, they could do. Do you think they could possibly do 3 launches in 3 days off 39A if they had stuff ready to go?
For crew, I think it'd be tight right now. They just started ruling out not having to do the static fires back at Kennedy. Yeah. They are accepting just the ones at Hawthorne. So I think that helps bring that timeline obviously down quite a bit. I mean, is it possible? Absolutely. If everything's just sitting there ready, it's absolutely possible. They'd have to be right on the time, because they're only going to have an opportunity basically every 12 hours to catch what's in orbit. So they really have 24 hours to the minute to roll one out, stack it, tip it up, test it, whatever they want to do. And then we know it takes 5 to 6 hours for the actual final count that we see, but they go into count a lot earlier than that.
But I
think it's possible. They also could launch from multiple sites in the future too, because a lot of people think that's how SLS gets replaced for Orion. Why do you need SLS with Orion? You've got Crew Dragon if you can dock it to Starship, because they're going to dock Orion directly to Starship until Gateway's built, which is sounding like it's going to take longer and longer.
And can't Orion actually dock to the space station?
In theory, yes. They've never talked about it, but yes, it should be able to.
Because
it's the same docking port.
It's the same docking port. So why not? Why not dock?
You could have 3 different capsules at the International Space Station that are American at one time.
Or
4 if Dream Chaser's running.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, what is the Starliner?
Yep.
You could shoot a Starliner and a Dragon at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's you got to fudge some rules. A Dragon and a Starliner at the same time.
It's like pouring a Coke and a Pepsi in the same glass.
I know that's, and then or you launch the Dragon one day, the Starliner the next. That gives you 2 days to get another Dragon turned around, and just pretty much dock, throw your stuff on, slam the door, send it back, and get ready for the next. We are actually reaching a point in theory that we could have multiple crews hit within days.
The International Space Station is over full of people, but also of activity. It doesn't have enough docking ports. We keep having them. Now, they only have to move Dragon, it seems. But, that's soon going to be... I was looking at the schedule. It's been a few months now since they released the plans for, the next 3 years of the proposed missions. And there's 6 or 7 instances where, theoretically, there's not enough docking ports on the space station to have all the vehicles they're talking about. Or crews. I know there was one instance that they were looking at having, 16 or 17 people on station. I'm like, you don't have enough beds as it is for 11. How are we going to put 16? We need some new modules, which the U.S. isn't working on because we don't have shuttle. We could launch some stuff with Falcon, but I think they're putting all their eggs into SLS and getting it done first and proving that wasn't a waste of money.
Are you kidding? There is actually a space station production facility in Texas. All they got to do is put a docking port on the side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they need... I'm not sure if we're going to see the ISS get a lot more from the American agencies. I think we'll see Axioms going up in a few years with their extension, and then they'll break off. We don't know if Russia's going to break off in the next 5 years, but they keep saying they're not going to, but everything else is pointing to that they would, just in how they're behaving. But we'd have to see what happens with it. It's one of those things I wish that we were flies on the walls of some of these conversations, because it's hard to know. I would love to know, if we're talking about this and we're we have ideas, what are actually the planners thinking? Because I'm hoping they've got better ideas than we do. You never know these days.
And well, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say this now. Have you ever thought that, rolling back to Starship, have you ever thought Elon throws out an idea and lets the designers, the community designers, come up with stuff, and then he goes, "Okay, guys, this is what this guy says. This is what this guy says, and this is idea. Which one do you think is the most feasible?" And he's having us design it for him.
There's been instances where he's said you guys were smarter on Twitter, when they tried to land with only one engine, and everybody's like, "Why didn't you just light 2 or 3?" And he's like, "We were dumb." It's there's been instances. I think the biggest thing is they just don't know what's going to work. We tweeted it out after the Booster 3. It's are we going to Booster 4? Is there more Booster 3? And he's like, "We might try a 9-engine one if Booster 4 is taking too long. If we've got the time, we're going to slap another, 7 or 6 engines on this booster and light it." I don't know if Pad A could hold that much thrust. That's a lot, even for just that's a lot of thrust. So we'll have to see, because soon they'll have to be able to start doing testing of the full booster, which is when people really have to start being pulled back into a much larger exclusion zone. is when they start doing some real testing of that. And that's, I think, when Starbase is really going to start changing and just how accessible
Everything
it may be. They can't close the road other than when they want to and get approval, and they can't buy the road. Texas has already said that'll never happen because that sets precedent for the hotels. So it will always be able to drive by, but it's possible they'd stop letting people park there. So.
Oh, now here is something I've heard is there's a new road proposed to the beach to run along the canal.
Oh, okay. Like goes further up and then over, and then you get up at the. I mean, there's the land for it. If you can skirt the wildlife reserve or get approval for it, maybe.
But, and then turn make that the new Highway 4, and then roll. That's a rumor I've heard.
SpaceX has got the money for it, and it wouldn't really it's not like Highway 4 leads anywhere. It's to a beach.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the people that are so set against SpaceX closing it are the fishermen, which makes total sense. It's their livelihoods there. And that's their community. SpaceX is the one that's moving in. But if SpaceX is giving them an option that they might have more accessibility other than when testing is occurring, then maybe. I can see that. I'd be surprised. I'm surprised they haven't just done a bridge from South Padre Island over to the beach. It's not a big inlet. Obviously, it'd have to be quite high to allow ships in, but they also don't have that big of ships that come in that inlet. They have some, but they wouldn't need something too crazy, or do a tunnel or something. There's got to be a way they could do
a tunnel. Yeah, I know a guy that could possibly help them build that tunnel.
Shocking idea. We could put some Teslas in it if you're going to Starbase.
Yeah.
I know a number of people want to see Boring do a tunnel from Brownsville, South Padre Airport to Starbase. If they could do it, and the thing is they wouldn't have to do a tunnel the whole way. If they could tunnel from the airport, like 6 city blocks, they're outside Brownsville, they could come up and just do a dedicated Tesla road all the way out that's separate. I think there's a lot of money SpaceX could be making in tourism, but I don't think they're necessarily wanting all that tourism just yet. All
right, Zach, we've been going an hour. This has been a dream of, doing a show like this, and to have you on there, and then Paul, it's like, touchdown.
Absolutely.
And let's not make this a one-time deal.
Absolutely not.
Let's plan a couple more. And as you see, you've seen how StreamYard is.
Yeah, it's good. It's easy.
Simple.
Well, I'll tell you when I'm down there, we can try to do something too. When we're either at Kennedy or down there, we can try to figure something out.
But let's possibly plan a couple more of these, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks.
Sure.
To
figure something out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thank you, Zach. We're gonna end it up here. I don't have a. Oh, by the way, you saw the intro. I got to ask, what did you think of that intro?
It was good. It was nice.
With the countdown, there was the show's going to start in this time, and then the intro had the Apollo 11 countdown.
Yeah.
and the astronaut riding the rocket.
It's the best video. So, hey, we're not too far off. We could see some rides in space.
Yep.
Just waiting for one of those seahorse rides. You can ride a rocket, on the lunar surface or something. Now, there's a meme for you.
out, because I've already got a picture of an astronaut or somewhat of an astronaut in my head right now on one of those.
Oh, no.
All we got to do is Photoshop out and put the moon on it.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
And then he would cuss us out because he hates that spacesuit.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Hold tight. We're just signing off. I'm going to talk to you for another minute or two. All right. So we're saying good night. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and be sure to watch the replay, because if you tuned in after 8:30 or 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, you missed the best part of the show.
Oh yeah.
All right. Good night.